Welcome to The Grateful Artist. We're so glad you're here. I am Stephanie Page, your host. I'm the author of The Grateful Artist that's available on Amazon for paperback or ebook. If you'd like to order the book directly from my website, I will hand sign a note for you and send it out. It's at stephaniepagestudio.com. I hope you enjoy our show today. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm glad you're here. Today, I would love to talk about going after your dreams. Now, this is a lengthy subject and has many different layers. But there's all these elements that people struggle with when they're trying to make something that they envision and know that it's supposed to happen, and they're going to follow through with it, and they're going to make their dreams come true. It's something that they constantly think about. So it is an interesting journey from just thought, thinking about, to actually making it happen. And a lot of times we are reliant on our surroundings, our loved ones, people that we care about, people that we share with what we're doing. A lot of people that I have worked with have such a deep desire for something that they really see working out, but they hit a lot of roadblocks along the way. And the roadblocks can be pretty devastating. That can cost you years worth of time and effort. I know people that have had a dream for maybe 10, 20 years, and still it hasn't come true. So, but they're not giving up. But there's a lot of things that actually make them stop for a while, get back into the grind, just, I better get a part-time job, I better do this or that, and they get into the shoulds, and they're convinced that maybe they can't do it. And it's really hard to watch. No matter how much of a cheerleader you can be to someone, you cannot make them believe anything or do anything. So on the opposite side of that, the power of words of your partners or your friends, family, the words that they say, if we give them power, they can really stop us. And that could be a huge roadblock. Needing someone to believe in something that hasn't happened yet takes quite a bit convincing. I know firsthand. I remember when I was trying to get into galleries for 10 years and I kept on getting rejected, and we were struggling financially, and I was ready to drop what I was doing to make money just to make this happen, because I knew it was supposed to happen. So I'm trying to convince my husband this is supposed to happen, and he was afraid we were going to lose our house. It was in 2008 during the recession, and we were getting close to not being able to afford our house anymore because the loan that we had was just ridiculous and went up, I don't know, $5,000 a month or something. I don't know exactly how much, but it was way out of our range because Doug and I both lost about 30% of our income that we were used to. So it was a huge shift in our life. It was not something we were prepared for at all. So when I just trying to convince him, listen, this is what I'm going to do and it's going to work, I mean, he couldn't see it. And looking back, of course, he was filled with fear. People attach their own views in their own way that they would handle going after a dream. And not everyone is meant to start their own business. It's a very difficult thing, and actually can be a very lonely endeavor. And when your significant others are not on board, or maybe they're on board, but they're really having a hard time, and they're pressuring money, time, all that, it can be very difficult. So the loneliness is a big thing, and no matter what stage you are in success, no matter what, if you are on your way to success or have you succeeded, you're still going to find that loneliness, because not everyone there is with you. And I don't mean with you like cheering you on. I mean like they can't really relate to you. Sometimes when you elevate your life, the people that were in your life, it makes them feel uncomfortable. It makes them feel or look at what they are not doing and they take it personal. And I have experienced that, and that's a difficult thing to do. I've lost friends because, um, I've been told I just do too much. I'm a go-getter, and it's annoying because it makes them feel less than, and that's awful. Because I would never want anyone to feel less than. I wouldn't want anyone to feel uncomfortable. I love cheering people on, and I love, seeing someone go after it. And, there's a lot of sacrifice for things like this to happen. I just asked my nephew yesterday, if money wasn't an object and you had all the money in the world, would you still be going after this endeavor and doing this? And he said, absolutely. And then I told him, there's no choice here. You have no choice. Sometimes you have it so deep down inside that you cannot stop. You cannot stop because you see it. And I don't know if it's a intuition or a premonition or you see it and you just know it. But for me, you couldn't convince me otherwise. Like no one could convince me otherwise, no matter what. And even my husband in 2008, he couldn't tell me no. And he may have tried to, but I could not stop. I just knew I was meant to do this. And it override every sensibility of every responsibility that I should have as an adult. So a lot of times when we sacrifice those things and they don't work out, I've been there too. I've started a couple businesses that didn't work out. And there was a moment that I realized, you know what it is success to me is not how it turned out and how successful you are and how much money you're making. That doesn't make any difference to me. What makes the difference is that I was willing to try. And sometimes I don't know if I would like it. When I first started my first business called Freelance Artist Network, I was convinced this is what I wanted to do. I loved all the ideas of it and had it all together and started functioning as a business. It was so exciting because I was very young. I think I was 20 when I started this business. And I employed 20 different artists and had contracts and was just really trying to keep it all together because I saw that success was the most important thing, not necessarily who I am and what I want and what I need. It was, I'm a talented artist, I can make this happen, and I was going to do it. My dad was a business owner, and he had an amazing spirit. Like if he had an idea, he would do it. He just wouldn't let anyone stop him, and he would figure it out. And I really admired that about him. I really liked that he was a go-getter and that he loved having his own business, making his own hours. He may have been a workaholic, but that's a little fuzzy. What is going on? But anyway, he may have worked too much. And I am guilty of that as well. When I started my businesses, I was obsessed with success and having to make it work. And that first year, it was called Freelance Artist Network. And that first year, after the year was over, and I kept on getting stiffed on jobs. It was government jobs too, which was really surprising. But I would get the 50% up front, and then they wouldn't pay me the rest. They would use the ad campaigns that we made and all that kind of stuff. But then they would just, shift me. And then basically I would have to try to sue them to get the money back. And here I am 20 trying to sue somebody. That doesn't work. I mean, I didn't know enough. And I remember thinking, wow, I pretty much failed at this. And I don't think I really believed that I failed, but I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I loved working with the artist, and I figured out things that I do love about it, and I've learned so much because, I went to school for graphic art and marketing, so that was, still something I use today. That business and the skills that I learned is something that I use today, used in my mural business. So I think success to me is willing to try these things that I think will work. And what you learn from those things is a stepstone to the next thing. Okay, if it doesn't work out financially or the business doesn't succeed, you still gain something from it. You were still willing. There are people that will never lift one finger towards their dream. They may have a dream and they may have desires and may want to go for what they want, but they'll never step towards it. And why? Usually fear, usually doubt. Their surroundings is not very supportive. It could be a myriad of things. But what stops us, it could be endless. And I guess that's why I wrote the book, The Grateful Artist. For me, was I kept on seeing people want something so badly, but stopping themselves constantly. Everything became a roadblock. Every single opportunity to have a roadblock was a block. And it wasn't just one thing that they had to get over. It was really getting over the mindset, your mind, and actually managing the mind to be able to handle something, this kind of endeavor. And you have to kind of ignore what people say. There are people that say, I remember when I first started selling my doors. I like to say them doors. My abstracts were on hollow doors at Home Depot because I didn't have money in 2008. So when I got into my first gallery, that's all the money I had. I used house paint and I used all these different things that I had, but I didn't have money to make it happen. So the doors were 80 inches wide by 36 inches tall. So it was a great surface, smooth, hollow, light, and easy to hang up. So all my first works were on doors. Necessity. You just figure it out. But I remember people close to me kept on saying, did you ever imagine this working out? I can't imagine someone paying that much for a door. So I'm like, a door, really? So that was interesting. My answer was absolutely yes. Of course I saw that. Why would I walk towards something that I didn't see working out? When we go after something, we see it working out. We see it working well. So I think that's the shocking part with your loved ones and people around you is that they don't understand because that's not something that they would do. And also they're not an artist, so they may not even see that. But to call something that I created, that a painting, a door, meaning they don't get it. You're taking a $25 door and turning it into $6,000. How can you do that? It didn't make sense to them because there was no practical sense to it, and they didn't understand art. So why would I need their opinion to matter? So it was more entertaining for me at that point because it didn't matter what they said. It didn't matter the doubters. It didn't matter somebody saying, wow. But what is really does matter, and the difficult part is your loved ones that are, your spouse or, someone you're living with that you're depending on financially, or they're depending on you financially. That's when it's really difficult because you need that person to be on board, but it's really hard for them. So for me, I feel so compassionate about my husband because he has become one of the most amazing supporters in this journey. It's been like just such a beautiful thing seeing him, and I would ask him to help me all the time, and he'd say, my favorite thing is helping you. I love what you're doing. I believe in you. So having that kind of partner is great, but not a lot of people have that. And imagine you succeeding and that person being jealous of you succeeding and having a reaction that you were not prepared for. So you could have someone jealous saying, no fair, I want my dream to come true. Why do you get to have your dreams come true and I get to work this job I don't like? Okay, well, that's also difficult to work through. There's a lot of elements there. So, and also just the financial stress, because that could really take over the mind. And if we are artists and we want to become successful at our own business, we have to be able to manage the mind. And if you're constantly worried about money while you're trying to make money, and you have these doubters saying, come on, where's the money? And you know it's coming, but yet you don't have the control over the timing. That's really difficult. So for me, the journey has been, it's been really interesting because it's very revealing for people that are in your life and the people that are not. And that's okay because sometimes when people succeed, people take it personal. They don't like feeling inadequate around these people that are filled with joy, excited about what they're doing, and it just makes them think about themselves. And it's not something that they're doing on purpose. It's a subconscious thing. And it's not that, we're bad by trying to make something that we love happen. But when someone personalizes it against you and decides not to be in your life, I mean, it's pretty painful. It's definitely painful. But it's something that I have deep understanding for. It is something that I hope that I can definitely be aware of, because I can be this Pollyanna kind of so happy all the time, and I can be annoying as fuck. So, excuse me, didn't mean to swear, but I can be annoying. And it can be annoying when you're not doing well, and here I am cheering and going, oh my God, this is great. Oh my gosh, this is great. And, I've had, when I first started, I had some people I couldn't share good news with. They did not like hearing it. They took it so personal that I just avoided telling them. This person's no longer in my life anymore, but, they hated that I was doing well because they wanted to do well. And they made it all about them, and they just gave me up. So that's also hard, to have someone take something personal that has nothing to do with them, but yet here you are, excited about something happening in your life, and you have every right to be happy. Because something that you want for so many years and you work so hard to make it happen and it actually works, wow. I mean, that's the American dream, right? Everybody wants that. I mean, not everybody, but maybe everybody wants to be happy and love what they do. I think that's a general understanding of what people want. So it's interesting because even finances, like, you hear about the people, like you have a group of people and you're all financially equal, right? And you hang out and you have these friendships and you go on trips together and you do things and dinners. And then one person elevates their finances higher and wants to do more extravagant things, and these people that don't have money can't do it anymore. So it kind of money kind of separates people. And then these people try to find people that can do things with them that they want to do on more expensive or whatever. But it also is sad because your success made you separate from the people you loved in a way financially. And those people ended up pulling away from you because it was too difficult to be around someone that had money. So, I have a wide range of friends that have tons of money and no money, and I can relate to everyone because I've been everywhere. I mean, of course, I'm not super rich, but I too understand what that does. And I have worked with multimillionaires probably for the last 30 years. And I've witnessed the struggle and the suffering and the loneliness of that. Being successful, so successful that you don't have anyone to relate to. And the people you do might not be exactly, your speed. So it can be lonely on the top, I guess, that you could say, but it's not about top or bottom, really. It's just about accepting that it is going to be lonely, going after what you want. And that's part of the byproduct of it. And, I have a son that is a dreamer, and he is insanely talented as a golfer. And I see him give up so much in his high school years, not dating, just totally training, giving up everything, social life, because he wants his dream to come true. But he was lonely. It was a lonely endeavor, and it still is, It's still a difficult thing because what he wants, he can't let go of. He knows where he's heading. And so, there'll be time for relationships. There'll be time for people in their lives. There'll be time for all those things. But for him, he can't let go of that dream. And he doesn't want to blame anyone for not having that dream. So I think that's why I decided not to date in high school his last couple years or his last year. And that really did elevate his game. It really did show up. And he really did really well. And right now he's at a tournament up in Oregon. And I don't know how he's going to do it. It's a 4-day tournament in the USAM Tour. And it's a championship. that he earned the spot there and he's excited about it. This is just part of his journey. And I keep telling him that there's going to be a lot of people and gifts in your life as you go along this journey. It's not about giving up everybody to have what you want. But yes, don't give up the dream. And I understand what he's doing, you know, but it is hard. I see these people and I work with a lot of people that are going after the dream. And that's the common thing that's happening with them. It's lonely. It's a lonely place, and temporarily, but it is lonely. But even anytime you succeed at anything, it's a mirror to everyone else, regardless if you want that or not, unfortunately. So that's whether you take it personal or not. It just does, you have no control over how people receive your success and their view of you. You have it's really not of any of your business, but you will notice people that are in your life when you do succeed and people that disappear. And it's sometimes shocking. It definitely surprised me. And I had people that I thought would be the first in line to buy my book, and they're not even anywhere to be found. And I don't know, do I take it personal or do I say something or just let it be? You're like, okay, it's okay. And that's another thing. That's a big thing that I just said. Expectations on others, their reaction. You work so hard, then you present, ta-da, look what I've been working on, here it is. And then you're expecting the people that's closest to you to have the right reaction, which is unfair to that, putting that on them. But it is a logical kind of like, it's one of those things that you would expect the people that are closest to you to have a certain kind of reaction, but to have an expectation on that reaction of what it's going to look like, how it's going to feel, that's unfair. But it also is hard to kind of not expect it or not want it, right? And I have seen people give up on dreams just with that, like working so hard, making something happen. It's the ta-da moment, and then they didn't get the reaction from their loved ones. It's nothing. It's shit. I'm going to give up now. Let's get a part-time job somewhere. I've seen that several times in so many years. So I think that's also a very difficult thing, is because you cannot put expectations on others of how they're going to support you. You just have to love when they support you and accept it when they don't. You have to let go. And everyone's on their own journey, and it really has nothing to do with you. It has to do with how they receive the information. Are they able in this moment to support you? They may not be. They may not even understand how important it is to get their reaction. Everyone's in their own world, in their own life, just doing the best they can. But it is hard to convince somebody, listen, it doesn't matter what they think. If you're constantly thinking it matters, that's a lot of power you're giving to your loved ones. And it's unfair, because it's unfair to them, because they should be able to react however they want. They should have an authentic reaction or no reaction, and be okay with that. There's no rule in life that you have to react a certain way. That doesn't seem quite right. But I'm telling you, artists, just artists in general, of course, we paint something and we flip it over and we show the person, whoever we're with, that's it. We react wanting that person to have a good reaction. And then we judge their face. We pick apart how they said it. They weren't super excited about it. They were just trying to be polite. Think about it. If you're an artist, how many times have you looked at somebody wanting a reaction that you didn't get? It doesn't change the art. It doesn't change how much you love it. So I think that that's kind of the whole idea, is to constantly come back to your knowing. I am meant to do this. This is my purpose, and the people that receive it are meant to receive it. And anyone that doesn't does not need to receive it, even your loved ones. So I think that that's a very important thing to connect with. And when your loved ones do show up, like I just wrote this book. I had a book signing, and I had the most beautiful, overwhelming moment of all these people coming out to support me and my endeavors of 5 years of work in my little book. But it was so beautiful. Like I wasn't thinking who's not there. It didn't matter. Who was there was, oh my God, enough. It was amazing. I didn't get the amount of time I wanted with everyone, but at the same time, it was so overwhelmingly powerful for me. And I was beyond moved. I mean, I still am. Every time I think about it, I tear up just because, wow, just showing up. Even if I didn't talk to you too long, you just showed up. And then we went out to dinner afterwards, and I had, my core group, and my husband had his core group all at one table. And I just took that moment going, oh my gosh, like how amazing these people just showed up with love. Like you focus on the people that show up. You don't focus on the people that aren't. You soak in what people are showing up for. You soak it up and you soak up them. Like, oh my gosh, how cool is that? It doesn't take away anything from you and your endeavors when someone doesn't show up. Just let them not show up. I know easier said than done, but I think it is a most powerful thing you can do is not have expectations on anyone. No one in my life has to show up in any way, shape, or form. No one. Of course, you do something and no one shows up. That's pretty painful, and I understand that. But the whole key is that expectation is a resentment that you're having at that person that they didn't show up. And how unfair. They don't even know it. And you're resenting them because you're expecting them to look a certain way, act a certain way. And in life, we just can't do that to our loved ones. We have to just accept them, how they're showing up and who they are at all times. My favorite thing to say to all my loved ones is I love you where you're at, not where I want you to be. Because that's what I wanted. I wanted people to love me where I was at, when I wasn't doing well, when I was doing well. Just love me wherever I am. So I guess that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. I did feel I went through this process, realizing I'm losing a friend that I loved and accepting that and trying to just love her anyway and just accept that, instead of feeling bad that I made her feel bad for going after something I wanted, I just feel bad for her. I want her to do well. And not just do well, but I want her to be okay and just focus on loving that person. Because when I was younger, the biggest lesson I've ever learned is to accept people for who they are, because you'll spend your entire life being disappointed in people if you have expectations on them. What kind of father you should be, what kind of friend you should be, what kind of mother you should be, what kind of father you should be. You can have all these expectations and you'll be disappointed forever. I had a friend that I got to see maybe once or twice a year, and she would cancel on me a lot. And I loved being around her. And for the first 5 years, I would just resent the fuck out of her. I'd be like, God damn, why can't she be a friend like I am? Why can't she do exactly what I do? I show up. And so I started resenting her. And when I realized I was doing this to her, my whole entire kind of like shift happened. And I decided whenever she's here, I'm going to soak it up. Whenever she's not, I'm going to love her anyway and let go. And, she ended up not being with me because she felt that disappointment. She felt how I was feeling. And so she purposely pulled back more before. And then when I started just treating her like, whatever you want is fine with me. If I get to see you, great. If I don't get to see you, great. Either way, I just enjoy being around you. We got to see each other more. We don't realize what we're doing to people when we have these expectations, and they feel it. You are telling them you are not enough. And who wants to be wrapped up in that? Who wants to feel that? That reminds me of my childhood wound. So why would I want to be around someone that tells me I'm not enough? And I have been guilty of that as well, where I've had a friend that treated me like no matter what I did, and I would go bend over backwards for this person, and she would constantly be disappointed in me. I was the giver, she was the receiver. And it got to a point one day, I'm like, why am I doing this? Like, this is insane. I never felt great being around her because she was so disappointed in me no matter what I did. So she didn't know what she was doing. It's all subconscious. But I just didn't like it, and I pulled away, and I lost that friendship. And I think about her, but I don't regret that decision, because if I'm with you and you're constantly treating me like, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, and yeah, well, you did that, but you didn't do this. Well, who wants to sit here and keep showing up for this person? It just doesn't feel good. So I wouldn't want to do that to anyone, and I don't want to do that to anyone. And I really want to accept people for exactly where they're at. And I'm telling you, I'm not perfect. It's something that I work on all the time, and it comes back. And sometimes I slip and I get a little hurt, but then I come back to the truth. What matters is I love them, and they can show up or not. It doesn't matter. And that's it, So going after your dreams is a little bumpy road, and we all know this because we've probably been on it. But don't give up. Know that everything is impermanent. The road to success is difficult, but find the joy, the deep connections on the journey. That's the most important thing, because maybe the friends that you had will pull away, but you don't know who's coming on your next page. You don't know what this dream is bringing you. And you just have to let people go and enjoy whoever is in front of you. And really just be kind and loving to yourself and others. And just don't give up. Keep that dream alive, but don't let those blocks stop you, and don't rely on loved ones to be perfectly responding. That's a roadblock, a trap. Don't give them the power, just give them the love. Oh, that's a good saying. Don't give them the power, give them the love. So I guess on that note, that's all I have to say about that. And there's tons more to say about going after your dreams, but that's today's topic. Anyway, thank you for showing up today, and I look forward to talking to you soon. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I am so grateful. If you have any comments, questions, feel like you want to connect, just email me at art@stephaniepaystudio.com. I would love to hear from you. And until next time.